That ain't a vacation, bro.
It ain't.
Rock's answer to your aggravation. The Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, what's happening? Welcome to the show. It's Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join the show. Of course, the lovely and talented Tamika Keena is in the hizzy with me today.
Hey.
How you doing, Miss Meek Meek?
Doing pretty good.
By the way, Easter Sunday, you would have shamed the Easter bunny. You were looking so good.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you.
Thank you.
That yellow dress was just perfect. I mean, just such an eloquent.
I tried.
Well, you didn't try, you did. Okay? Just an elegant black queen. I'm just, just make you proud to know that you're black. I'm going to tell you. You would drop dead gorgeous. That dress was hitting right on time. So, just want to give you some props and let you know that folks checking you out. Look at Tamika. Look at Tamika. She thinks she fine. No, she is, and and not only on the outside, but a beautiful person on the inside as well. So, just happy to have you on the show.
Made my day today.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Of course, we missed yesterday. Of course, we'll talk more about the Derek Chauvin trial that's still going on. It still amazes me how they try to just simply, you just posted. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that too.
Yes.
I just noticed you just posted the Lupus Benefit Bass Tournament, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Once we get through with Black Facts, we'll get into all of that because I'm going to try to go to the tournament. I'm not a bass fisherman, but I don't even have a boat. I might just like fish on the side or something. So, I might have to do that. But we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Robert Webb is going to be out today, but that's cool. Tamika and I will hold down the fort. Let's go ahead and do Black Facts.
All right.
Dynamic Black Facts.
I really can't hear myself.
Our history, our
Is that better? All right, so today's Black Fact is about the forgotten Black founding father. Massachusetts abolished enslavement before the Treaty of Paris brought an end to the American Revolution in 1783. The state constitution adopted in 1780 and drafted by John Adams follows the Declaration of Independence in proclaiming that all men are born free and equal. In this statement, Adams followed not only the Declaration, but also a 1764 pamphlet by Boston lawyer James Otis, who theorized about the popularized the familiar idea of no taxation without representation, and also unequivocally asserted human equality. The columnist, he wrote, are by the law of nature born free, as indeed all men are, white or black. In 1783, on the basis of the free and equal clause in the 1780 Massachusetts Constitution, the state's Chief Justice, William Cushing, ruled enslavement unconstitutional in a case that one Quock Walker had brought against his enslaver, Nathaniel Jennison. Many of us who lived in Massachusetts know the basic outlines of this story and the early role the state played in standing against enslavement. But told in this traditional way, the story leaves out another transformative figure, Prince Hall. Wait a minute, wasn't there some tobacco by the name of Prince Hall?
I wouldn't know.
I'll look it up. That just came to me. I'll look, okay. A free African American and a contemporary of John Adams. From his formal acquisition of freedom in 1770 until his death in 1807, Hall helped forge an activist black community in Boston while elevating the cause of abolition to new prominence. Hall was the first American to publicly use the language of the Declaration of Independence for a political purpose other than justifying war against Britain. In January 1777, just 6 months after the promulgation of the Declaration and nearly 3 years before Adams drafted the state constitution, Hall submitted a petition to the Massachusetts legislature requesting emancipation, invoking the resonant phrases and founding truths of the Declaration itself. Here is what he wrote. The petition of a great number of blacks detained in the state of slavery in the bowels of a free and Christian country humbly shew with that your petitioners apprehend that they have in common with all other men a natural and unalienable right to that freedom which the great parent of the universe has bestowed equally upon all mankind, and which they have never forfeited by any compact or agreement whatever. But they were unjustly dragged by the hand of cruel power from their dearest friends, and some of their even torn from the embraces of their tender parents, from a populous, pleasant, and pitiful country, and in violation of the laws of nature and of nation, and in defiance of all the tender feelings of humanity. In this passage, Hall invokes the core concepts of social contract theory, which grounded the American Revolution, to argue for an extension of the claim to equal rights to those who were enslaved. He acknowledged and adopted the intellectual framework of the new political arrangements, but also pointedly called out the original sin of enslavement itself. Hall's memory was vigorously kept alive by members and archivists of the Masonic Lodge he founded. His name can be found in historical references, but his life has attracted fresh attention in recent years from scholars and community leaders, both because he deserved to be widely known and celebrated, and because inserting his story into the tale of the country's founding exemplifies the promise of an integrated way of studying and teaching history. It's hard enough to shine new light on an African American figure who has long been in the shadows, one who in important ways should be considered an American founder. It can prove far more difficult to trace an individual's relationship tree and come to understand that person in a granular and even cinematic way, in a full context of his or her own society, family, school, church, civic organizations, commerce, and government. Doing so, especially for figures and communities that have been overlooked, gives us a chance to tell a story, to weave together multiple perspectives on the events of our political founding into a single joined tale. It also provides an opportunity to draw out and emphasize the agency of people who experienced oppression and domination. In the case of Prince Hall, the process of historical reconstruction is still underway. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our hats off to one who can be considered a founding father, a black man. His name is Prince Hall. And that's our Black Fact for today.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black Facts, our culture, our history, on JoyNetRadio.com.
And if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts and great facts like that of Prince Hall, give me a call at 615-554-0568. Now, Prince Hall. Now, I'm pretty sure that there was a tobacco, because I remember the joke. Remember those little sophomore jokes that people used to, well, back when people had phones and people would make crank phone calls and you would just dial a random number. And you'd say, "Is your refrigerator running?"
Yeah.
And they say, "Yeah." "Well, you better go catch it."
Right.
Now, back then, when we were in 5th and 6th grade, those were pretty funny. But there was another one. "Do you have Prince Hall in a can?"
Okay.
And they'd say, if they said yes, "Well, you better let him out. He's about to suffocate." So, and Prince Hall, and I'm wondering now, is that, because let me just make sure, if that's the right one. Let me see.
And does this Prince Hall have anything to do with the Masons?
Yes, he created the Masons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What made you bring that up?
Because I mean, I know some guys that are Masons, and I think the name of whatever.
Okay, so
It's called Prince Hall.
let's see here, because they mentioned the Masons in this piece. Control F. All right, so Hall's memory was vigorously kept alive by members and archivists of the Masonic Lodge
Yes,
he founded.
that's what I was trying to say.
So he founded the Masonic Lodge.
Okay.
But so Prince Hall, there used to be, in fact, there are cigars, Prince Hall cigars as well.
Okay.
So and the reason I was around someone, and if I remember correctly, they used to come in like a blue wrapper or something like that. I knew an older guy that I was around growing up who smoked cigars, Prince Hall cigars. And I was thinking, well, I'm wondering if that's who this is named after.
Yeah.
That's what made me think about that. But yeah, he is the founder of the Masonic Lodge. As a matter of fact, if I go through and just type in Prince Hall, let's see what comes up, because I think that initial one, it says it's got Prince Hall Masonic sweater, Prince Hall Shriners, Prince Hall Freemasonry, Prince Hall Grand Lodge. So there's a Prince Hall Grand Lodge on Harding Avenue in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Okay.
So I wonder, and if there are any Masons out there who are listening to me, I wonder if they know the significance of that name. Because unfortunately for us as black people, we fall under these names, but we don't ever know
Right.
where they came from, because we don't
I'm pretty
bother
sure
to
they
do the
probably
research.
do.
Well,
Because
they should. It should be part of their teaching.
history, yeah.
Yeah, it should be part of their teaching. But that's a fascinating story. I read that yesterday. And
And where'd you find that one?
that was actually, one of my favorite things, pieces to read is The Atlantic. They have a lot of great pieces in there, historical, black, white. So if you want to read some interesting stuff, go to The Atlantic, because they don't pull any punches. They put it out there. It's been a magazine for years.
Okay.
Used to have some of the greatest covers out there. So that's where that story of Prince Hall came from. So
Cool.
good black fact. Those are
Yeah.
things again, that's why I love black facts, because it always gives us an opportunity to educate and teach
Right.
people. So
I
good
learn
black fact.
something every time.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. So tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll jump into some other stuff today as well. By the way, I want to give a shout out to a very dear friend of mine, Diane Cloyd, who is being laid to rest today. She was like a sister to me. She's my best friend's sister, who passed away last week, and we were reminiscing about Diane, and we remember back in the day when she had this big Cadillac. It was one of the big long Cadillacs. It was blue and white, and we'd always take off in that Cadillac, me and Carl, and drive around, and ended up going to the prom in that Cadillac as well. So again, hearts out goes out to the Daniel and the Baker family, and I wish you all lots of peace as you go through this tough time. We'll be back in a moment. It's Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoyNetRadio.com. Man, I am so sick of all this death.
It wasn't COVID, was it?
Yes.
It was. Ah.
I'm sick of all of it. I am. It's just.
Did she know?
I think so.
Can
I think so.
like you to move that? You got two microphones in front of you.
Oh.
That we're on the air. You know, let's talk about it every day going forward.
I was on the bus Sunday.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, they told me to call in every Sunday until the tournament. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to it. That's the only show on the buzz I listen to.
Really?
Because they give some good fishing tips. You know, so, but yeah, that's the only show I listen to.
Yeah, my dad listen to them every Sunday too.
Teenagers to participate in a sport or activity when they go to high school. They'll stress less and smile more. And they'll be laying the foundation for a happier, healthier future.
And remind me to tell JC so you can call the morning show.
Okay.
Hello to quality time at Marco's. Hello to the best part of the day. And to making someone else's. Say hello to late nights and to the best night ever. These are the primo moments, and they call for Italian quality pizza. Dough made from scratch every day.
And we got to talk about Paul Pierce too.
From the original Gianmarco recipe.
Did you hear about him, or do you know who he is?
Every store, every
Basketball
day.
player, right?
Yeah, he was.
Hello, Primo.
In my time
He
he shall hide
was the ESPN analyst, and over the weekend, he posted a live video on Instagram where he was smoking blunts and he had women in the background twerking.
Hi, this
And
is
he was
Pastor
literally
Joe
inviting
Come take shelter at the tabernacle.
another, they say she was another stripper to come over and make some
On
money.
live?
Yeah, and they were throwing poker chips at
Pastor-elect Joe Pumphrey of the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist.
So they fired up looking for that?
Yeah, they cut it.
Oh my goodness.
They cut it.
Hey bro. Hey bro, you're a Mason, right? Yes, he's
Join the Weekly Sports Magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com.
All right, welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about Paul Pierce. We're certainly going to get you updated on the trial, the Derek Chauvin trial. And again, don't be surprised if he gets off. And we've got a lot of other stuff we'll get into today as well. But before we do anything, what I want to talk about today, right now, because you all know I'm a fisherman. I love going fishing. Hadn't been yet this spring, but we'll probably go this weekend. Right now, if you went and looked in my truck, I would have 2 rods and reels, and I would have my tackle box, and I would also have my cooler where I put my fish in. So, yeah, I ride around with my stuff. It's like I ride around with my pistol. I ride around with my fishing rods. Okay, because you never know.
In case it's a good day.
Yeah, or just in case if there's a flash flood and there's a pond out in the backyard, you can just fish automatically. You got to be ready. I'm an old Boy Scout. Be prepared. So, with that being said, there's a fishing tournament coming up, and you all know one of the one thing that I've taken a liking to, or at least I've lent my name to it, and I typically don't do this. Not that I'm famous or anything, but if you notice, I don't lend my name to a lot of stuff. You don't see me joining a lot of groups on Facebook. That's just kind of how I am. But I took a liking to this organization when I first moved back and got involved with it, and that was the Lupus Foundation of Arkansas. And as many of you all know, we have a wonderful talent show every year, and there have been requests for me to be the upcoming president going forward.
Oh, wow.
I'm not. I hadn't volunteered for that yet, Tamika. No, I got too much to do. But at least someone came to me and made the suggestions. Would you?
Wow.
And so I'm still thinking about that. But also I've had the honor and pleasure of being the MC for the Lupus of Arkansas Talent Show for the last, 4 years? Somewhere in there. Of course, with the lovely and talented Tamika Keener. You know, it's always great to dress up, and then we get on stage and she be looking so good. She make me look good. I mean, people say, man, Dave, you really look good up there with Tamika. I'm like, I guess that's a compliment. But it's been a pleasure. We always have fun. We have fun, and it's for a great cause. Mm-hmm. So, speaking of which, there is an event that's going to be taking place in Russellville coming up that we need you all to be aware of. And if you are a fisherman like I am, and I've got a good friend who's Marty Scudder, who's a bass fisherman, I'm going to make sure that I turn him on to it as well. But give us some information on the bass tournament.
Well, it is the Lupus Benefit Bass Tournament. And this tournament is, number one, the main purpose is to spread awareness for lupus. And then secondly, to support my organization, Purple Butterfly Services. It would have been the 4th, but due to my health reasons last year, we didn't do it. So this will be our 3rd one that we've done. The registration is $110. That's including the big bass, and it's $1,000 guaranteed first place.
Wow, $1,000 just to catch a little fish.
I don't know if it's gonna be little.
It better not be, or you won't be winning that $1,000.
Exactly.
So what day is it on?
It's May 15th.
May 15th.
And registration starts at 4:30 a.m. Ooh,
that's the weekend of my birthday. I may not be here.
I don't blame you for that, I won't hold you to it.
Because my birthday is like that Thursday. But I'm taking Thursday, Friday, and Saturday off because I'm probably going to go out of the state somewhere. But anyway, that doesn't mean that you all can't participate.
Exactly.
Okay. Hey, Jackie, how you doing? Hey, I was thinking about you. I got to give you a call. But that doesn't mean that you can't still participate, and certainly we're going to be talking about it. So what is the Purple Butterfly? Is it the Purple Butterfly Foundation?
Purple Butterfly Services.
Okay.
So
what is that?
It is a nonprofit organization for lupus awareness. And our mission is to passionately assist individuals with lupus through finance, awareness, hope, and education.
Now, lupus, I keep hearing that word. What is lupus?
Lupus is an condition where the body is basically allergic to itself in layman terms, where your autoimmune system is fighting itself or fighting the body and ultimately causes dysfunction in the body.
Which is something that mainly deals with, it's predominated with the black women, is that correct?
It is, but it doesn't discriminate. Anyone can have lupus, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, but it is predominantly, it's dominant in African American females.
Well, and you talk about male and females, just to give you, just to put a face to this, Nick Cannon actually has lupus as well.
Correct.
Let's see, who else?
Seal has lupus.
Seal has lupus.
He has discord lupus, which is mainly dealing with skin rashes. But Nick Cannon has SLE, systematic lupus.
Okay. And what's the singer's name? God, I can Tony Braxton. I was going to call her Tracy
Selena
Braxton.
Gomez.
Yeah.
It's several out there.
So the whole point of this is to bring awareness to lupus, to lupus, of course, to raise money for Tamika's organization, which is a great organization as well. And we're going to be talking more about this as we move forward. We don't do lupus much justice, in my opinion, on this show.
Right.
So we're going to start talking about lupus. Probably, I'm going to say probably once a week.
Cool.
So I'm going to task you, Tamika, that once a week we need to determine what day we want to do it.
Okay.
And we want to take a segment of the show and talk about lupus. And that means if we need to get on, if we need to get a guest on,
that'd be cool.
If we need to get someone who's suffering from lupus or someone who's doing something in the community relating to lupus, whatever that is, we're going to task you to make sure that that's done. Okay?
I think I can handle that.
It's something that I've been planning to do. I do so much stuff, it just kind of slipped my mind. So,
That's understandable.
well, you know what my schedule is. So it's like my kids tell me, Dad, are you gonna ever stop doing so much? You just when are you gonna relax? I don't know what I got Jamaican in my blood. I got 10 jobs.
10 jobs.
So, but yeah, we'll be talking about lupus a lot here on the station. So, and hopefully, if you are a bass fisherman,
yes,
look. And I was telling Tamika, I fish, but I'm not a bass fisherman. I'm not one of the. I don't have a boat.
But you know, there's a difference.
Right. There is a big difference. I don't have a boat. I usually just fish off the shore. But if I'm in town, I am gonna, and maybe I can hit the ride.
Well, I'm gonna be looking for you.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably not gonna be in town. I'm just. I'm letting you know right now.
I wouldn't ask you to,
No, I'm just.
compromise your birthday weekend.
I tell people the only day that I celebrate, believe it or not, is my birthday. People say, you don't celebrate Christmas? You don't celebrate New Year's? Well, let me take it back. There are 2 days. I celebrate New Year's too because my son was born New Year's Eve. So let me take it back. I don't celebrate New Year's. I celebrate New Year's Eve. And then, of course, I celebrate April 13th because my daughter was born April 13th. It's kind of weird. All of us have a 1 and a 3 in the days that we were born. Him the 31st, my daughter the 13th, and me the 13th.
Oh, wow.
That's really weird. So anyway, no, I do celebrate my birthday, so I won't guarantee that I'll be here, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
I'll call you and say, how y'all doing?
We're gonna have big fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. If you've never went to a bass tournament, it's fun. It's exciting.
I hope I can have some entertainment out there. When the fishermen or anglers are out there fishing.
Have you reached out to Rodney Block?
Not for this.
Oh, okay.
But I have before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So He's always good. I'm just saying.
I love Rodney.
He's always good. I tell people all the time, that's New
You
York.
will never disappoint.
No, that's New York talent in Little Rock. And I don't think people in Little Rock realize. But then too, you would have to go to New York and other places to see that type of talent. And then when you come back, you say, wow. You know, when I first moved back and I heard Rodney, I've been telling them from day one, y'all don't realize what you got down there.
Yeah.
That guy's good. But anyway, so many plugs for Rodney. You ain't paying nobody. You ain't paying nobody up there. This is for Lupus. You don't know what your problem is, Rodney. And by the way, if y'all see Rodney, y'all tell him we were talking about him on the show, so he can come and buy some advertising. You know, all them shows you be doing, you can kick out a few bucks to us. It ain't gonna hurt you. I'm just saying. But we're looking forward to that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And
spread the word. Spread the
it's a little more than a month away. So that's plenty of time. So get involved. We hope she has a great turnout.
Yeah, and it's also during Lupus Awareness Month.
Exactly.
May is Lupus Awareness Month.
Exactly. So it's perfect. Even if you can't go, if you could make a donation to Butterfly Services. Is there a website?
No, there's not a website, but
Okay.
I do have Cash App, and you can contact me through Facebook.
Okay. So we got to work on getting your website. Okay. We'll work on that and get that up and running as well. All right. So enough for that. Tell you what, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to jump into some stuff. Congressman Alcee Hastings passed away a couple of days ago. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll certainly talk a little bit about this Derek Chauvin trial as well. It's are you watching?
I watch it for like 10 minutes, and then I got to turn it off.
Me too. In fact, what I'm doing now, I just catch the recaps. Because if I watch it live, I'm liable to throw my computer or my TV or.
Like I don't like for my vibe to be shaken up.
It messes with you.
Yeah.
It really does, because you see up close and personal how they view black people. Okay, and to tell me it's like this. If I'm high and I go out there and get hit by a car, me being high didn't kill me.
Exactly.
The car did. Okay? But they make it sound as though we're stupid. And I think everybody has been saying the same thing about that. We're not stupid. So, anyway, we'll talk about that when we get back. It is Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices, right here on JoyNetRadio.com.
Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't have a website.
I used to have one.
What?
But I was paying somebody to do it, and I couldn't afford it no more.
What if I taught you how to do it?
I really do know how to do it.
What software do you use?
Who was that week?
Do you have the domain?
I tried WordPress before.
I can teach you how to use WordPress. 80% of the sites online are WordPress sites now.
But I think at that time it was GoDaddy.
Well, GoDaddy is the domain host.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I use too.
I can't remember what it was.
So you are, but you do own the domain, right? Have you let it go?
I have to ask because what is his name? His name is Frederick Smith. Have you heard of him? So he's the one that did it. So I have to ask him.
Well,
and it wasn't an org; it was a .com. So I would like to do an org this time.
Is it nonprofit? You got your 501c3? Oh, girlfriend, what you waiting on? We could have been making you some money. I didn't know that. I mean, did we look this up one day?
Yeah, we did. When we were in that room over there.
And you went ahead and Got it set up?
You was just telling me. Ocean Domain.
In my time of trouble,
BUTTA.
FLY.
this resurrection Sunday morning, join the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church at 4820 West 65th and Little Rock as they welcome Pastor-elect.
Hi, this is Pastor Joe Humphrey. Come take shelter at the Tabernacle.
Make sure you're there on time, 10 a.m. and help Tabernacle in the city of Little Rock. Welcome to Southwest. Pastor-elect Joe Humphrey of the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, 4820 West 65th in Little Rock.
I'm Rizal Aaron. We invite you to join us on the Power of Justice broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon right here at Joy Net Radio Studios, where we talk about issues concerning civil rights, human rights, social justice, and all of the areas that impact civil rights and human rights in Arkansas, but also across the country. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend, every Tuesday and Thursday right here.
I don't know why it's not coming up. But what we're going to do, what I'll do is, I'll teach you how to do it, and that way you don't have to pay anybody. And then you can update your own site whenever you need to, whenever you want to.
Because I really need to get back on the ball with it.
Right, because people now, if you're a nonprofit, people will donate. That's the way you can get donations
Oh,
from
I
all
know.
over the country.
You know, I used to work for a nonprofit, the Steen Foundation. And I did the website.
All right, welcome back to the show. Just quickly, Tanya's already weighing in on Derek Chauvin. He's gonna walk. That's what he's saying. I hate to tell you that, but I think he is too. But that's just me. We'll see. Hopefully not. But quickly, Congressman Alcee Hastings passed away at 84. Hastings crusaded against racial justice as a civil rights lawyer, became a federal judge who was impeached and removed from office, and went on to win 15 congressional elections, becoming Florida's senior member of Congress. He died Tuesday morning. A lifelong friend said his death was confirmed in a statement from his family. In late 2018, Hastings was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Wow, he lived, 2018, he lived 3 more years. Usually pancreatic cancer is usually, it's a goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, for much of the ensuing 2 years, he continued public appearances between medical treatments, but more recently, he hadn't been in public. In recent days, he had been in hospice care. Alcee was a fighter, and he fought the terrible disease longer than most. He faced it fearlessly, and at times even made fun of it, said Broward County Commissioner Dale Holness. A Democratic congressional congressman and a singular figure in South Florida politics, he repeatedly broke barriers and made history, not always positively. So just a quick, shout out to Alcee Hastings, no doubt about it. He was a pioneer, and there were a lot of white people who were after him, but he was able to withstand some of the things that they wanted out of him, and may he rest in peace. I didn't realize he was 84 years old.
Wow.
That's just amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the Derek Chauvin trial, if you are not paying attention. And we teased it a little bit before the break. And here's what bothers me about this is, if you're going to tell me that every time someone is killed, if they have a drug or alcohol in their system, then what actually initiated the killing was not actually what initiated the killing.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to say now about George Floyd is because he had drugs in his system, that's what caused him to go into cardiac arrest and end up dying. Okay? So they're discounting the fact that this man, which looked to be about 200 pounds or more, had his knee on his neck. And I think that's what's really bothering a lot of people here. is because we know for a fact, sans the knee on his neck, George Floyd isn't dead. But, you know, over the last week, I've been thinking about this, and I kept wondering why this man would refuse to take his knee off of that man's neck. And certainly he was depraved, but more importantly, and I don't think anybody has floated this argument, but I think he was taunting the people that were watching. This came to me last week.
And you can see that on his face, though, because
Exactly.
he was like, try me.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. If you look at him, and even after people came up and said, hey, he has no pulse.
Right.
He still stayed in the same position. Because as he looked out on that crowd, he was saying to that crowd, look, I'm killing him, and it ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Now, maybe it's me.
No, I agree.
But this came to me as the first day I watched it.
You could see on his face.
If you look at his face, and here's what made me think about this. We spoke last week about the lynchings that took place. And if you look at the pictures that some of those lynchings, when some of those lynchings occurred, you see people standing around posing for the camera, as if they were proud. These were white people, as if they were proud that they had watched a black man be killed, or a black woman, because they were lynching black women too. And the look on Derek Chauvin's face reminded me of those people. And that's what made me come to this conclusion, is that he knew he was dead. But Derek Chauvin was trying to prove a point to those people. The argument that they're trying to make is, oh, well, the reason he didn't take his... Now, this is what's so stupid. He didn't take his foot off of his neck because of the crowd. Huh? Wait a minute, the man is handcuffed.
Right.
He's on the ground.
Right.
He's begging for his mama. He's telling you that he can't breathe, and you're concerned about the crowd?
Yeah.
That is the most specious argument that I've ever heard in my life.
And that was my whole thing. He was handcuffed.
Yep. He was incapacitated, basically.
And you had the knee on his neck. He couldn't even go anywhere.
He couldn't go. Plus he had, and you remember, there were two other officers on him as well.
Right.
Holding down his leg. So you're right. He couldn't go anywhere. So this argument that we were afraid of the crowd, that's why I kept my knee on his neck.
Right.
Are y'all serious?
Right.
So this is why people are getting upset.
And then too, like, he was alive before you touched him.
Yep.
So how did the drugs, even if he was intoxicated or under the influence, before you touched him, he was alive?
That's an excellent point. So if the drugs caused cardiac arrest, then why didn't they cause cardiac arrest when he was sitting in his vehicle? Okay? And odds are that the drugs, he's used these drugs before, and according to his girlfriend, they have, because she got on the stand last week, if you heard her,
No, I didn't.
and said that they both struggled with, they had issues of pain.
Okay.
And they first started taking pain pills, and then they graduated to other drugs.
Okay.
And it all started because I think she said he had a back issue or something.
Yeah, because he played sports. He was an athlete.
Yeah. So, and
Football and
take it from
basketball.
someone who has a back issue, folks. It ain't fun. Look, I may not look like it. I'm hurting right now. In fact, I hurt every day. And if you had any idea, at one point when I first got my surgery, they were giving me 90 pills of hydrocodone.
Wow.
And I'm talking about the what people would call the good hydrocodones.
Yeah.
They were giving me 90 pills.
Oh, wow.
All right. And I didn't take those pills. And I remember going in for a follow-up because I would go every 2 weeks. And it just so happens I was there this time, my appointment was on the 1st of the month. And this was the first time I had ever been in my doctor's office, and it was packed to the brim.
First of the month?
It was so many people, they were standing out in the hallway. And I had an appointment. So when my doctor called me back, he says, wow, I bet you've never been in here when it's this crowd. I said, man, because usually when I'm there, it's been 1 or 2 people at most.
Yeah.
He said, let me tell you, and this was after I probably had been, it probably had been 4 to 6 weeks that I've post-op. Okay. And, you know, he said, Mr. Coleman, excuse me. He said, you are one of the toughest MFs that I know. This is my doctor. And I said, well, why do you say that? He said, number one, you walked around for almost 25 years with a broken neck. He said, but number two, you never called me and asked for pain pills. And I said, well, number one, I don't really like taking pills. I only take pills. I'm one of those people that if they give you antibiotics, they say take them till they're finished. I'm one of those people that'll take them till I'm feeling better. And I'm sorry, I do that.
No.
I know, I do that. Okay, I hate taking pills. But to make a long story short, he said, you see all those people out there? He said 90% of them out there are here for pain pills. He said, you never call and you never ask for pain pills. He said, you're different from most people. He said, but my point being is, I have to give them to them.
Yeah.
Because I can't judge what your pain is as opposed to somebody else's pain.
Right.
So there he was, that doctor, and this was, man, it's been over 10 years since I've had that surgery now. This doctor was literally pushing barbiturates. That's what they do. That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because if George Floyd and his girlfriend were having issues of pain during that time period, I'm not surprised they're not hooked. Remember, millions of other people got hooked on hydrocodone and those pain pills because
that's why we have the laws in force now.
Exactly. Right now, if you go, I took a friend to the dentist last week, and the dentist would not prescribe hydrocodone. You know what the dentist said? Take 2 Tylenol. They don't do it. They won't do it now unless it's just extreme emergencies.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that George Floyd was addicted to pain pills if he had a back issue. I could very well be addicted to pain pills myself right now, but the only difference in me is that I don't take those pills. I hate them. I will not take them.
Yeah.
You know, so I say all that to say this. Is that even if he's addicted, because the fallacy in the defense's argument is that if anyone dies, let's say I'm driving down the street, okay, and I may have taken a hydrocodone last night before I went to bed, okay, because I needed to sleep. I have a car wreck, and and that person kills me. Are you now setting a precedent to say,
right?
Well, he had hydrocodone in his system,
Right.
so that's what actually killed him.
Right. Not the car wreck.
Not the car wreck. Okay? This is what's dangerous about this argument, is that now you're saying that anything that and by the way, I took that pill last night. So the effects of that pill on me today at 1 o'clock when I have that car wreck is null and void.
Yeah. Yet it's still in your system.
Yet it's still in my system. That's why the argument about marijuana stays in your system for 30 days. Okay? So if you're an officer and you pull me over and say, hey, you got marijuana in your system, that doesn't mean I was smoking it right then. I could have smoked it 3 weeks ago, for all that matter.
Yeah.
So this argument that they're floating around in this trial is specious at best. And if it flies, and unfortunately,
It probably is.
some people believe he's going to get off. Let's see what LaTonya. She says, if you're paying attention to the defense, he is showing you that the police are trained to do neck restraints. Fahim says, only police sanctioned by a criminal legal system get away with such BS. you and I couldn't use that argument. You're exactly right, Fahim. He goes on to say, the Connor versus Graham United States Supreme Court ruling in 1989 is the legal precedence that they are using. Yep. So a lot of people believe that he's going to get off. And I think it's, look, if you've been following this trial, a lot of the officers have been coming on really wearing Derek Chauvin out. Now,
I think it was maybe yesterday where they brought in like a rookie.
uh-huh.
And I was like, that's a good move because a rookie is usually going to go by the book.
Right.
So their answer to, using certain tactics, I think that was a good part of it.
So the rookie basically said that they're not teaching that in training.
Yeah.
So, and it was a great move on the part of the prosecution. But what they're trying to do with this trial, and I'm telling you, it's going to be dangerous because if they let this go, as they've let many of them go, I don't know how the black community is going to react.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, and I'm scared.
It's going to be another riot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm scared. I really am
Because
scared.
people are really fed up.
This is Rodney King-esque. Because what we see the difference, although we've seen a lot of these assassinations by police, because that's what they are to me, are assassinations. But when we saw Rodney King, we saw them beat this man, and then they turned around and told us that what we saw with our eyes is not what we saw.
Yeah.
In other words, they said our eyes were lying to us. And that was offensive to people. So now what they're saying again with this Derek Chauvin trial is that what you saw is not what you saw.
His knee wasn't on his neck.
Right. See, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
And you probably say, well, what's the difference in the Terrence Crutcher? Terrence Crutcher was the guy who was walking away, and the white lady in Oklahoma claims that he was trying to reach in his car and get a gun when his windows were rolled up. But he was the Magic Negro. This is different because that shooting happened quickly. The same thing with Philando Castile. When those shootings occur, they're quick and to the point. What we saw in this Derek Chauvin trial is 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Okay? It wasn't a quick, bam, bam, bam.
Right.
It was 9 minutes and 29 seconds of this man having his knee on the neck of a man who was begging for life. Now, you gonna tell me that what I saw is not illegal?
Right.
You gonna tell me what I witnessed was a murder, live and in real and living color, and you gonna now turn around and tell me that, you know what? That really wasn't a murder. He caused his own death. You gonna tell me that? You're not gonna tell me that, and you're not gonna tell a whole lot of people in this country that.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I just feel like it's going to explode if he doesn't get time.
But what time would he get?
I don't know. The question is, will he get time at all? And I hate to say it, I don't think he is. I hate to say it. You have 9 white jurors. Do you hear what I said?
Yeah.
You have 9 white jurors.
And that's the whole jury?
No, you have 2 black and 1 Asian, if I remember correctly. I'll look it up in the break to be sure. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back in a moment. We're talking about this Derek Chauvin trial.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, we will on the way back. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. And here's Jack. If he gets off, all hell is going to break loose. I agree. I agree. We'll be back in a moment. Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
in the subject of fair trial, if it was 9 blacks and 2 whites.
Well, see, and that's the argument that you're supposed to be tried by a jury of your peers. It always, and I was reading an article last week where they were talking about how this organization that did research on juries, or what do they call it? Picking juries, and they were talking about how blacks are relieved from jury duty more often than whites, or not even chosen to be on the jury.
Why?
For various reasons. And they went on to talk.
Probably wanted to get out of it anyway.
Well, those who want to serve, wanting to get out of it is one thing. But this is talking about where the lawyer, when they're picking jurors, the lawyer has a right to strike certain jurors. Okay? And what they were talking about is that in this case, blacks are stricken from the jury pool, I think if I remember correctly, 6 to 7 times more than whites. So if I'm a black person, how can you tell me that the jury of my peers are white men and women? Especially if I grew up in the hood. Those are not my peers. But on the other hand, when there's a white defendant, their jurors are white.
And jury duty, you can be selected for jury duty if you vote, or where does this pool of people come from?
Different states have different ways they pick jurors. They pull it from your voting records, your voter registration. Some states would do it a combination of your voter registration and your DMV. It varies from state to state.
Make sure you're there on time, 10 a.m. and help Tabernacle in the city of Little Rock. Welcome to Southwest. Pastor-elect Joe Pumphrey of the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, 4820 West 65th in Little Rock.
Hey folks, are you looking for a place to exchange ideas and talk about the issues that affect our community? Then join me, David W. Coleman.
So let's see here, 6.
For Black Focus Radio, every Monday through Friday, 2 p.m.
So there are 15. Okay, I guess those would be.
Download the latest podcast on your favorite platform. Also catch us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
So yeah, 9 jurors are white.
Answer to your aggravation. Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the show. Talking about the Derek Chauvin trial. And the question was asked before we went to break. By the way, Tamika Keener's in with us today. Shout out to Robert Webb. He's out there taking care of some business. We were talking about the Derek Chauvin trial, and someone asked what the jury makeup was. And I knew I had read that 9 of them were white. So let me just, according to USA Today, this is the makeup of the jury. Okay. There are nine, let's see, more than 9 men, with 9 women and 6 men deciding the case. So there's 9 women and 6 men. That's a total of 15. 3 of them will be alternates, so on and so forth. Now, here is the racial makeup of them. There are 6 of the jurors are jurors of color, including 3 black men, 1 black woman, and 2 mixed race women. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're part black, part white? Are they part white, part Asian? Are they part Asian, part black? What does that mean? So, and then the other 9 are white. Now, understand this. That's a total of 15, but there are only 12 that deliberate. Okay? All 15 of them don't deliberate.
Okay, what's the point of that?
Well, the point of having the extras is if someone gets sick, if a juror is cited for misconduct and has to be dismissed. So they have to have extra jurors just in case something like that happens, okay? But only 12 will deliberate. So the question is, how many of them are actually the deliberators? And what is their racial makeup? That's important to know.
Yeah.
So just to tell me that 6 of them are people of color, and people might say, that's great. If you have an elementary understanding of jury makeups, you'll say, well, wait a minute. That means if 6 of them are people of color, 6 of them are white. So that's an equal split. And you'll think that it's done equally. But if you don't actually understand that only 12 will deliberate, and right now we don't know, because we're not in the courtroom, we don't, and I don't think, because see, they all sit in on the trial. They all sit in on the trial. They have to, because if someone is stricken from the jury, they can't go back and get that juror, get him up to date.
Okay.
It's got to be real time activity.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's going to be doing the deliberation or not. Is it going to be all 9 of the white jurors? And just 3?
That's crazy, because it's like, how do you even pick who gets to deliberate?
That's done randomly through the courts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's done randomly. See, so those who are going to deliberate, they already know who they are.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. Those who are going, and the alternates already know who they are.
Okay.
But I don't know that the public knows that. In fact, I'm pretty sure they don't. Now, if you're an attorney out there, call me and correct me. I don't mind you doing that. But I'm pretty sure that the public doesn't know who the alternates are and who are the deliberators. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I could be wrong on that. And if that is the case, again, if it's 9 white men or 9 white people, then who's to say that only 3 black people are going to be able to deliberate? And here's the other thing. It only takes 1 person
To have a hung jury.
to have a hung jury.
That is ludicrous.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous.
It only takes 1 person.
And it's like, to go through all of that and have a hung jury, and then the case will be thrown out, right?
And it will potentially, the judge will make a determination at that point whether or not they want to retry it or whether or not they want to throw it out.
That's just crazy.
And the judge very well could throw it out.
Like, you go through this whole process of picking these people. There was a task in itself in the beginning anyway. Then to have to do it all over again, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it is. But again, this is what we go through. Now let me circle back to this jury duty thing real fast.
Okay.
So part of the reason that we don't have a lot of black people on jury duty is because of what you mentioned earlier. Is that black people are too busy trying to get out of jury duty. And then you get upset when there's a significant trial against a black person and white people deliberate. Now, they do enough in the courts to strike black people from jurors. But if you don't have a legitimate pool of black voters or whatever pool that they're pulling from to get votes, to get jurors, then we're not going to get justice. The only way you're going to get justice is that you're going to have black people on those juries. But if you don't participate in the jury process, then, in fact, I got a request to participate in a federal trial about a year ago. They just said I was in the jury pool. Now, they never followed up with me. But see, here's how you do this. If you're so upset that black men, young black males, are getting the death penalty, then go get on the jury. And then what do? Hang the damn jury. But what I found with black people go out of their way to be fair, to try to be fair in the white man system. Whereas white people, they don't care.
No.
And if you think I'm kidding, just go back and look at some of these trials of these police officers. There's been damning evidence. The Eric Garner trial. Oh, that's why he didn't go to trial. Okay? Go back and look at some of these trials with these white police officers and these white jurors. They don't care. The evidence can be slapping them. Look, we mentioned Rodney King. Rodney King is the classic example of that. If you don't know anything else, remember Rodney King. Of all that damning evidence, those officers were not convicted. Not convicted. And they use the excuse, well, they were wild, their adrenaline was flowing, and a lot of people don't realize that the reason so many people supported O.J. Simpson, not that he was innocent, was because he beat the system. He beat the white man system. A lot of people don't understand that. I wasn't supporting O.J. Simpson. I happen to believe that O.J. did what they say he did. But you know what? I cheered when O.J. got off.
Yeah.
You know why I cheered?
Why?
Because he beat the white man system. He was a black man who used white men tactics to beat the system. That doesn't make it right.
Why did he beat the system?
Because he was able to. Remember, O.J. didn't think he was black.
Right.
O.J.
But he was loved by.
He was loved by white folks.
Yeah. That was why.
Because he didn't think he was black.
Because he didn't think he was black, but he was loved by white people.
But that's why. Because O.J.
Oh, because he didn't think he was black.
He didn't think he was
I
black.
got you.
Okay. So the point I'm making with bringing this up is that if we're going to, number one, in order to affect the system, you got to be part of the system.
Right.
Okay. So Rozelle Aaron, who does the show here on Joynet Tuesdays and Thursdays, often tell you to go and become a police officer if you can. And his logic is that you can change the system faster inside than you can outside, which there is some logic to that. The same thing applies when it comes to jury. You're right, jury nullification. Oh, and by the way, O.J. had 9 black jurors. Someone just said. See how that makes a difference? He had 9 black jurors. That's my point. I'm glad you said that, Tanya. That's how you do it. That if you're going to change the system, then we have got to start, when they call you to become a juror. Look, I will tell you, if you call me to become a juror and it's a murder case for a black kid, I'm sorry. I ain't sending him to jail.
Okay.
Sorry. Innocent. Next case. Sorry. You know, I mean, we got to start, see, in order to beat the enemy, you got to know what the enemy's game plan is. All right? This is why they have war games. This is why they study the enemy when they go to war. That's the only way you're going to beat your enemy. You can't beat your enemy by guessing, not knowing what he or she is going to do.
Yeah.
Any conquest. I mean, I play the game called Risk, and it's a world conquest game. And you have to have an idea of what the enemy is going to do. Because if you don't, you're going to get backdoored.
Gotta be ahead of the game.
You got to be ahead of the game. And this is what we've got to start doing if we want to change the system. We can't change the system by marching and praying. Sorry, that ain't working. They've been doing that for years. That ain't working. Okay? You can march, you can pray, but last I checked, without action, All that doesn't make a difference at all.
Save for the ones in the back.
Okay? And all y'all doing is when y'all out there marching and praying, those bigots and those racists are sitting in their offices pointing at you and laughing at you. They're calling you dumbass N-words. When are they gonna get it? Look at them marching. They marching in rhythm. Oh, they singing. Oh, wow. Oh, they always could sing real well.
Oh.
But you know what? That ain't changing the system. And if you think it is, I can go back over the last 60 years and prove to you that it's not changing the system. In fact, I can show you this Derek Chauvin trial. I can show you the Eric Garner trial. I can show you all of these black people that have been killed in the last 3 to 4 years. The system, Tamir Rice, it just goes on and on. The system ain't changing because of y'all marching and praying. The system will only change when you demand that it changes. So you got to get inside the system. You got to work inside the system. And here's the other thing, black folks. Don't get these positions and then all of a sudden think you holier than thou and you're going to follow the law to the letter. Black people kill me with that. They want you to do that. They want you to be their sucker. Okay? You have to fight fire with fire. That old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans. All right? That's how we're going to solve this problem. So I don't know how many of those people are going to, how many black people are going to be actually on the deliberation side of this jury.
That's crazy.
We just don't know.
It could be possible that none of them.
It could very well be. It could be. So you've got. Let me go back to these numbers. So you've got 6 jurors of color, 3 black men, 1 black woman. So you're going to have at least 1 black woman on there. But see, you got to understand, it don't matter. Even let's say if you had all 6 of those people of color on this jury, it only takes 1 white man or 1 white woman to not agree. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it won't even matter. Even if they have all 6 of them on that jury that are doing the deliberations, it just takes 1. It just takes 1. And that's what's dangerous about this.
Yeah.
That's what's dangerous about this. And I hate to say it.
Now, during this whole trial, is he in jail right now or he's at home?
Who? Chauvin, I believe I think he got out. One of the police unions, I believe, put up his bail.
That's right.
So I think he's currently out.
That's right.
Which, again, police union putting up the bail of a murderer. Police unions aren't your friends, folks. They're not your friends.
Right.
At all. So, as a matter of fact,
it would be cool for us to have a police officer.
we can reach out and get one. As a matter of fact, I don't know if he'll come on or not because he's a detective. I wish I could get my godson on. By the way, you did hear me say my godson
I have
is a
some
detective.
classmates that are. I can reach out.
Okay. All right. So we just need to just keep your eye on this trial. And you know what? It's good that people are watching this trial because you're getting to see how they view our people. Okay? And when we come back, I'm going to dance on that just a little bit because they're trying to even blame George Floyd's death on the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you've ever, fortunately, most of you have never seen anybody killed. Now, just imagine someone being killed by someone who is sworn to protect you. What would your reaction be?
Right.
Think about that in a break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Wow.
Oh, so come over here. Let me show you this.
that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys
So right now,
assist attorneys
your domain name is available.
and recovered millions
Okay.
for our clients.
It's only available for
Or a
$1.
loved one have been injured
If I'm
or
you,
have
I go out here and reserve it
we
immediately.
may be able to help.
If you're gonna use .com.
Contact our firm anytime.
If
for
you go
a
down,
attorney consultation. Call
there's
1-800-848-1299
.org. It's available for $9.99
That's
right now.
1-800-848-1299.
So the reason I would do both. With this one being your main one, .org. But doing this because a lot of people, because this is common, .com, a lot of people will type that in. And to keep people from piggybacking off of your domain, go ahead and get that one. In fact, for the first year, I was gonna see if any others were $1. I wouldn't get. I usually tell people to get that one too. That's $14. But to keep people from piggybacking off of your name, I would go ahead and reserve both of those. Okay. So that way, when you get ready to do your website, I will tell you that you're gonna need probably close to $200. I have a lady set up her. I'm building her website now. And it was about $175 to get everything set up for her, as far as getting it set on GoDaddy. So it's gonna cost you not
Face
that much.
shields, face masks, hand sanitizers, digital thermometers
Not
for
right
checking
now.
temperature at the forehead, of course, gloves to protect you since you've got to go back. Please get your emergency supply today. Don't be
But
caught.
in the meantime, if you can, go ahead and reserve both
Thin
of these.
gloves
Okay.
that will expose you
And
to
they'll
the
already be
virus.
ready, and then
Check
we'll
it
go
out.
ahead and set
Websites.
up.
We have two
You don't have to set up the
websites.
hosting
One
and all
is
that
Go,
other stuff. You can just reserve
HHN,
those
or
names.
HabibisHomeMedical.com.
So go ahead and do that when you can.
HabibisMedical.com. There you can find all of
And
these
then we'll start building
products,
them.
listed prices.
I'm gonna build it, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. That way you can update it whenever you get ready. So
That's what my problem was.
you got a laptop, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good.
I couldn't update when I wanted to when I had the other one.
Right,
and
'cause you
I
had to-
had to tell him what I want on there.
And then you had to pay him to do it and all that other stuff. So
He made some money off me.
look, that's what web designers do. Look, that's why I'm headed back into that business because it's, I just set up a client 2 weeks ago, $800.
Really?
That doesn't include the fees that I'm gonna charge every time you want me to make a change on your website.
Wow.
You see what I'm
You
saying?
could say 8.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
it's good money. All right, welcome back to the show. Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. On joynetradio.com, David Coleman along with Tamika Keener in the house today. We're talking a lot about this Derek Chauvin trial because there are a lot of things that bothers us about this trial. I wanted to talk about something else.
You said we were going to dance on something. How they view us? Wasn't it?
Yeah, how they view our community. So, one of the arguments that the defense attorney is attempting to make is the reason that he stayed on Derek Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds was because the crowd was intimidating them. The crowd, they were scared of the crowd.
Yes, the crowd was growing more and more aggressive.
So
he couldn't focus on.
if you've ever watched a man die, which fortunately for me, I have not, it is a disconcerting, those people that I know who have watched it, well, let me put it this way. I watched my mother die. I watched them pull the plug when they told us that she's beyond coming back. Now we can leave this plug in her, plugged in, this ventilator, and it'll look like she's alive, but she really isn't. And I watched, and it took 15 minutes and 38 seconds before she was completely gone. And watching those 15 minutes was disconcerting to me. As I sit here and think about those moments, you know, we often say that we're helpless and there's nothing we can do. If you've ever watched that happen, you are helpless and there's not a damn thing you can do. As that crowd watched George Floyd, and all kinds of emotions will well up in you. In my case, my mother, I was mad, I was upset, I was angry, I was frustrated. I mean, every type of emotion, helpless, great word. Every type of emotion that that could happen happens during that time period. Now imagine a crowd watching a man, a black man, considering the history of this country and how they treat black men. Imagine that crowd watching a police officer kneeling on the neck of this black man. This black man begging for his just to breathe. This black man begging for his mother. This black man throwing up and urinating on himself. Imagine that crowd seeing this play out, and you don't realize 9.5 minutes is a long time.
Sure is.
All right?
60 seconds is a long time.
Exactly. And you've learned that now that you do talk radio, right? I tell people all the time, y'all have no idea. 60 seconds can be a long time when you do talk radio. So imagine being on his neck for 9.5 minutes. Imagine that.
Right.
And those people are begging you. He's hurting, he's dying, he can't breathe, he's telling you he can't breathe. And you're sitting there, you don't acknowledge that crowd, you don't say anything to the crowd, you sit there with your hands in your pockets, looking at the crowd as if to say, ain't a damn thing y'all can do about it. I'm gonna do this in spite of y'all. Because to me, that is what he did. He wasn't concerned about George Floyd.
Right.
Even when the off-duty firefighter came up and tried to help, her job is it's like a doctor. It's like a doctor when, you know, if you are a criminal and you get injured and a doctor is around you, you know what that doctor's gonna do? He's not gonna say, you a criminal, I'm not gonna help you. He's gonna help.
Right.
That's what the job of that firefighter was. She was so angry if you saw her the first day of the trial because they told her to get away. They wouldn't even let her help.
Wow.
And then when other paramedics arrived on the scene and checked his pulse and said that there is no pulse, he still stayed on this man's neck for another 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
That's depraved indifference. He didn't care about George Floyd. He didn't even consider George Floyd a human being.
Right.
He didn't even do that. Look, I read an article the other day. This guy, this football player from Tennessee, got suspended for abusing a cat.
Wow.
For abusing a cat. My point being is that our current criminal justice system doesn't even give us the courtesy of animals. Because you can go to jail for abusing animals. I'm reminded of the meme that I see periodically during the winter on Facebook. Well, it's two pictures. It's the picture of a dog outside in the snow. And then there's another picture of a human being, usually a man, homeless, outside in the snow. And the picture reads over the dog that you can go to jail for this. In other words, leaving the dog out in the snow.
Pet abuse. Or
But you don't go to jail for abusing human beings. there's something wrong with our society. And we see it play out every day in cases like this with George Floyd. And that's why I think he's going to get off.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
You know, us talking about this, it makes me think about how with pain, they think that we can endure more pain.
Yeah.
Like our pain tolerance is different.
Right.
Even with like in a hospital,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they get the good meds.
Right.
And we barely get meds.
Mm-hmm.
So to think about that aspect of it in the trial, him being on his neck that long,
Mm-hmm.
he was probably thinking he can endure this.
Well, remember, they had already called him a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
You know, they always purport us to be like Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice was what, 14, 13?
I think 13.
They called him a grown man. If you go back and listen to Timothy Loman's admission of that crime, you look at Eric Brown in Missouri. What did he say? He looked like a big, strong man with strong. They always look at black men as intimidating, some brute, somebody with superhuman strength. They always try to paint us as,
which we do have that.
well, to be totally honest, in order to endure what we have endured, you've got to be superhuman. Yeah, and I'm not exaggerating. Look, every day in America, and I saw this the other day. Someone said that black men live with depression every day. We do. We
Everything we have to go through.
Everything we have to go through as black people, and particularly black men, is, look,
the anxiety.
You have no idea. It's a tough road to hoe, but
black is hard to do.
Exactly. That's why when years ago, they did this survey of white people. This was when Michael Jordan was popular. And they asked white people, if you had the opportunity to come back as Michael Jordan, would you? Now think about this. Think about the greatness of Michael Jordan. You know, the accolades and the fame and the fortune of Michael Jordan. And they asked these white boys, would they be willing to come back as Michael Jordan if they had another choice? Every one of them, to the man, said no. Now think about that. Now, if I had the chance to come back as Michael Jordan, and I'm going to tell you, I don't particularly care for Michael Jordan. But if I had to come back as Michael Jordan, hell yeah, I'd come back as Michael Jordan. Okay? But you know why those white boys didn't want to come back as Michael Jordan? Because at the end of the day, what they realized is Michael Jordan is still a
black man. And they have white privilege.
Exactly. And they understand their white privilege. And some of these people that they talked to in this survey was poor. They weren't poor. They were po. Po white trash.
Oh, wow.
And said they wouldn't want to come back as Michael Jordan and have all that fame and money. Because even the poorest white man understands his white privilege. You see.
And then on top of that, there's probably some racism.
By the way, Tamir Rice was 12. I'm sorry. So we say all that, and we're talking about this, and we're talking about the Derek Chauvin trial because, to me, I think of all the trials that have went on as it relates to police murders, this trial is laying bare. We all knew it. We all had some concept of it, but this is why this trial is important. And I know it's tough to watch. it's tough to watch for me. But this is laying bare the criminal justice system as we know it in America. You can't hide from it now. Because clearly, even white people looked at what Derek Chauvin said and said, oh no, that's wrong. That white firefighter who was so animated to the point where the judge had to chastise her at the end of that first day because she knew it was wrong. That wasn't a black woman, that was a white woman. So if you telling me now that Derek Chauvin is going to get off, I'm telling you, it's going to be ugly. And I'm not going to apologize for those people out there that's going to be raising the hell.
Right.
I'm not. They brought this on themselves. At what point are they going to realize? See what America thinks right now is all black people going to do is march and pray. They ain't going to do nothing else. They're not going to boycott. Okay. They're not going to fight back. I'm telling you, this is a dangerous, dangerous situation. It's more than you all imagine.
Tired.
Really tired. I mean, and when you look at this trial, and like I said, it reminds me of the Rodney King trial. Some of the same tropes are being put out there. Oh, it was the community. Oh, it was where he grew up. Oh, it was drugs in his system. Oh, but those drugs in the system made you lift those batons and beat the hell out of Rodney King. So now you're telling me that, look, had Derek Chauvin, are you telling me that if Derek Chauvin would have driven home that day, he was going to die of a heart attack?
Right.
Is that what you're telling me? That's exactly what they're telling us. They're saying that Derek Chauvin was going to die that day either way.
George Floyd was going to die.
George Floyd. Yeah, I'm so angry right now. They're telling us that George Floyd was going to die that day anyway. He was going to have cardiac arrest.
Right.
Because he had drugs in his system. So had he driven home from that store, he was going to die anyway. Because he had drugs in his system. That's what they're telling us. Oh, don't worry about that knee on his neck by that 220-pound officer.
Right.
He was going to die anyway. You see, don't worry that he was on the ground begging for his mom and telling you he couldn't breathe. That don't matter. He was going to die anyway.
Right.
He'd have said them things when he overdosed later, when he had his heart attack later on that day.
Right.
That's what they're telling us. Now, am I boo-boo the damn fool?
Sounds like it.
That's what they think we are. That's what they think we are. And then they want to try to trot out, well, he had a fair trial and the evidence was heard. Oh, the prosecution didn't put on a good case. The defense put on a better case. All this BS to try to cover up these major, major flaws in the criminal justice system. It's time for us. Look, you don't want to boycott Georgia because it's going to hurt jobs. Okay? You know what? If you ain't willing to boycott for life, then you ain't willing to do crap for your life. And this is what white people are beginning to understand about black people, is that you're a bunch of, you talk a good game. I'm reminded of this video that I saw yesterday, and we're going to take a quick break. I'm reminded of this video that I saw yesterday of this guy who was in a Walmart, and he looked like he was 6'5", 6'6". And he was talking noise. He was threatening everybody. This one guy, this little short black guy, walks up to him and apparently says, "I'll take you on." And they start throwing blows. The little short guy caught him in the jaw 3 or 4 times, knocked him down. In other words, beat him down. The guy ended up leaving with a broken jaw. This is what this reminds me of. Okay? All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment. We got more. We might even get more into this.
I know.
Y'all better wake up, black folks. Ain't nothing wrong with praying, but last I checked, faith without work is dead. If I pray for a job and I never put in an application, is God going to send me a job? If I'm single and if I pray for a mate and I never go out there and make myself available for that mate, to see a mate, to meet a mate,
right.
Is God gonna send you a mate? If you're hungry and you're sitting in a house and don't have any food, but if you never make the effort to let anyone know you're hungry, or you never go to a food bank, is God gonna send a stork to drop food down your chimney? My whole point is that if you're gonna pray about what's going on in the black community as it relates to police brutality, then you got to get some action behind it. Back in a moment.
David W. Coleman, host of
Yep.
Focus Radio
That's true.
and the Weekly Sports Magazine. We here at joinnetradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support
It's
you've
kind
given
of
us. Our
it's
goal
kind of
is
funny,
to
man. When we used to back in the day when I was in college,
quality programming from gospel music, news talk,
a lot of those guys
to joinnetradio.com.
when we first got to college was intimidated by the women.
While there, be sure to
They
make
were
a
scared
donation.
to go ask them. We'd have dances and stuff, and guys, a lot of football players, big bad football players, scared to go ask a young lady to dance, standing up against the wall. And I would tell them, I'd say, look, and they'd be talking, man, you see so and so, she was so fine, man. I was like, oh, you know. I said, well, man, why don't you go ask her to dance? Oh, I ain't gonna ask her to dance. Well, how you gonna get to know her if you never ask her to dance?
Right.
You know, you got to go out and say, hey, this is what I want. You're
Some
not
initiative.
right. You got to have some initiative. You can't expect people to, particularly in America, people are not going to give you anything. Unfortunately, you got to take
Gotta
it.
go out there and get it.
You know, and that's what I was saying the other day. Freedom ain't free. We have to renew our freedom every day as black people. And if you're not willing to do that, people will take your freedom from you.
Education goals into your life. Arkansas
But
Baptist
we hadn't learned that
programs
yet.
are
We want
flexible and
symbolism.
affordable.
Oh, let's take down that statue. Oh, that made me
Right.
feel good. That
Right.
statue. The statue's down, but you're still being discriminated against. So what good is the statue?
Right.
Put it back up.
Right.
You know, you marching. Okay, you marching. What is that gonna do? And tell me, what does that do? Can you tell me? It made me feel good. It was good. It was good to be around my people. To feel that all that blackness. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
but
what else?
Now what?
This Resurrection Sunday
Yeah.
morning, join the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church at 4820 West 65th and Little Rock as they welcome Pastor-elect.
Hi, this is Pastor Joe Humphrey. Come take shelter at the Tabernacle.
Make sure you're there on time, 10 a.m. and help Tabernacle in the city of Little Rock. Welcome to Southwest. Pastor-elect Joe Humphrey of the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, 4820 West 65th in Little Rock.
Hey folks, are you looking for a place to exchange ideas and talk about
I agree with you, Tanya.
our community? Then join me, W. Coleman, and my co-host Robert Webb for Black Focus Radio every Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. on joinnetradio.com. We like to say it's our issues, our solutions, our voices. Download the latest podcast on your favorite platform. Also catch us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. That's Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinnetradio.com.
Oops, dead error. Tamika did that. Tamika's running the board today, so
You can't blame that on me.
Tamika's running the board, so that's why we had the dead error. I'm sorry.
Don't believe it,
Okay.
folks.
Hey, what's happening? Taylor, South Carolina. Glad to have you. Huntsville, Alabama. Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes.
Cordova, Tennessee. Hot Springs National Park, and of course other places around the country and Germany. Glad to have you listening to Black Focus Radio today. Our issues, our solutions, our voices.
Cool.
We're spending a lot of time today on the Derek Chauvin trial because it's exasperating for me. And many of you all have indicated as well that it's tough on you. I can't watch. I'm at a point now where I can't even watch some of these slave movies because
I agree with you.
I'm getting angry.
Feel so some type of
What is the there was a series out a while back called The Underground Railroad, I believe, and people were talking about how great it was. It was a great series, and I won't watch it. I'm sure it's a great series, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't make you feel good.
no. Slaves running for freedom, that does nothing but make me angry. I'm being real. I can't watch things like Snowfall and Power because that is nothing more than blaxploitation. If you think about it, back in the 70s, that's when blaxploitation movies were big. Things like Shaft and Coffee Brown and Cleopatra Jones and the list goes on and on and on. Superfly and Shaft's Big Score and all of these glorified pimping, drug dealing, and killing. And people labeled that blaxploitation. In other words, it exploited the black experience in order to make money. And people were upset because oftentimes these were white producers, white directors, white film studios who were putting this stuff out and making money. So you tell me what is the difference in Power, Snowfall, and some of these other shows, Empire, that use black artists, but they show them in the worst light, but they make money. Now, some people say, well, you know, that was written by a black writer. Who cares? It's still blaxploitation. So I can't watch that kind of stuff anymore because to me, it does us a disservice. What we've got to do, you know, people complain about, well, you know, we don't have writers, we don't have directors, we don't have studios. Well, you got Tyler Perry down there, he still puts out some of the same crap. That movie that he put out about the woman being exploited by the young black guy, what was the name of that? Heaven Can Wait, or I don't forgot the name of it.
I Can Do Bad by Myself.
Was that it? I think it was another one. No, that wasn't it. It was about this older lady who.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go back, but the point being is that's nothing but exploitation. You're exploiting men. You're suggesting that all black men are bad. What's the difference in white people doing it and making money as opposed to black people doing it and making money? At the end of the day, it's still exploitation. Well, we've got to get out of that and start saying, hey, we're gonna name ourselves. We're gonna control our destiny. We're gonna make the stories about our people. And by the way, all of our people didn't grow up drug addicts. All of our people didn't grow up in the hood.
Right.
All of our people are not in prison or not going to prison.
But that's what society views us as.
Exactly. So when we get, and the reason I'm bringing this up, and I'm glad you made that point, is that ties right back into this Derek Chauvin trial.
Yes.
Is that the fact that he could put his knee on this man's neck for 9.5 minutes. The fact that the jury is probably going to acquit him.
It discredits our value.
It discredits our value. If we don't value ourselves, then don't expect white people or any other race to value us. They're not going to do it. Look, here's the thing. The white race has never valued black bodies. From the exception of America. From the inception of America, they have never valued black bodies. The only thing they valued black bodies for was work and sex. Hello?
To entertain them.
Entertainment. Exactly. They never valued your body. So if you don't value yourself, that's why it's important that when you see a sister out there, look, I'm not flirting with Tamika when I call her beautiful. She is beautiful. She's a black queen. I might be flirting a little bit. See me winking at her? But we should be doing all of our sisters and brothers like that. You know, we have to value ourselves.
Right. Supporting each other.
And exactly. But the other thing is that before I can value Tamika and look at her worth and her beauty, I have to value myself. Okay? And if y'all hadn't figured it out by now and been listening to me for 5 years, I think pretty highly of myself. Sorry. You should too.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. Because see, when you think highly of yourself, then you will do things on a higher plane
Yes.
than other people.
Right.
It ain't that I'm better than you. It ain't that I feel like I'm better than you. It ain't that I was raised on a different side of the tracks than you. I had to develop this attitude. You can do it too. And we as a community have got to do this. And even more so, your voice has got to be heard with this Derek Chauvin trial. If it doesn't come out the way it needs to be. I'm not advocating you go out there and burn down buildings, but your voice needs to be heard.
Right.
I'm telling you. Your voice needs to be heard. And you can't listen to black leaders who are afraid to boycott. Okay? Because we were talking Monday that, you know, we don't have black leaders in our community anymore because they're afraid to really do what's tough. This is a people's movement. The people have got to get this done. Black people have got to say we've had enough of being abused and neglected by a system that we built. If it wasn't for black people, America would not be in the shape that it's in today. We built this country, literally, with our backs and our bricks. And if we don't start taking ownership of who we are as a black community, this is going to continue. Look, think about it. You would tend to believe, Tamika, after last summer, all of the marches and things of that nature, police would say, hey, look, we don't want that coming to our city.
Right. Right.
So what did they do? Instead of going in and making sure that some bad case would not follow them, police across the country got worse. They got worse. The reason they got worse is because they feel like, hey, we're not gonna be convicted.
Right. Nothing's gonna happen.
Nothing's gonna happen to us. And black people just throw up their hands, see, that's the system, that's the system. No, we know it's a system, but you can change the system, but you gotta be willing to change that, and that takes sacrifice. And we're not willing to sacrifice. That's really the bottom line on this.
We've come so far. Not.
Yeah, y'all can sing, come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. How far have you really come? Oh, that's right, you can drive a nice car now. You can go eat at white businesses. Did you know right here in Arkansas, they were trying to pass a law, in fact they did pass the law to discriminate against certain people for not getting health care? Did y'all know that? If they can pass a law, if these white men can pass a law and say, hey, look, because of what you do in your bedroom, we can allow a doctor to keep from servicing you. Now, a doctor's Hippocratic oath is do no harm. That's their job. It don't matter what your race, creed, national origin is. If you're sick, a doctor's job is supposed to save you. Now, they just passed a law in Arkansas. Just yesterday, if y'all don't know this, well, they're going to discriminate against LGBTQ people if you need a doctor. So what you're saying is that if an LGBTQ person is dying and you take him to that doctor and that doctor say, oh, can't wait on him because of the religious convictions, what's to make you think that the next step is that, oh, can't wait on you because you're black.
Right.
Can't save your life, can't perform this surgery on you because you're black.
Now, I'm really surprised that it passed because that community always has strong support.
Well, it passed because they don't have strong enough support in that legislature. That's a Republican legislature. Now remember, Asa vetoed the bill. And when it went back to the House, the General Assembly, they overrode the veto.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So my point in bringing this up is that there are some craven individuals out here in our legislators, on our police departments, and in our city streets. And if we don't push back on this, don't just simply say it's the law. So we have to abide by the law. Let me just remind you, slavery was legal. What Hitler did to the Jews was legal. What Israel is doing to the Palestinians today is legal. What the South African government did under apartheid was legal. Hello? So just because it's the law doesn't make it right and doesn't make it legal.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, folks. This Derek Chauvin trial has exposed America, if you didn't already know. And there are still some Negroes out there who are saying, see, if he would have just been struggling. Well, did you watch that video? Did you see him struggling?
No, I didn't.
I saw him begging.
Right.
But nowhere in that video, that 9.5 minutes that we saw.
Right.
So let's say he initially struggled.
They weren't struggling either.
No, they weren't. Remember, Chauvin had his hand in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So if George Floyd was struggling and fighting the way they claimed that he was, or at least what they're trying to say, why is it that the main cop had his hands in his pocket?
Right.
Why wasn't he using his hands to help restrain a struggling suspect?
Exactly.
By the way, where's that fake $20 bill?
Mm-hmm.
That still hadn't come out in the trial yet. Where's that piece of evidence? Whew. This is
Woosah.
it just upsets me. All right, we got to wrap this up.
Breathe in.
Whew.
Breathe out.
You know, I think I'm more upset with our people than I am with Chauvin and these cops, because see, I've been around long enough now where I expect the cops to be dirty. I hate to say that, but I expect cops to be dirty. I really do.
Yeah, which is sad. Which is pretty sad.
Yeah.
That you expect that.
Yeah. It's sad. But that's the society we live in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the society we live in. All right, we were going to talk about Matt Gaetz. I didn't want to deal with that today. I thought this Derek Chauvin thing was more important than anything else. So we're going to wrap it up. Again, we'll be back tomorrow. Robert Webb should be with us as well tomorrow. So you all stick and stay. Don't go away. It's time for our quotes of the day. You ready?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13.
This quote is from Bruce Lee. Every situation in life is temporary. So when life is good, make sure you enjoy and receive it fully. And when life is not so good, remember that it will not last forever and better days are on the way. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on Joynet Radio.